Here we go.
All right.
Finally. So the whole idea here is just a nice little visit, right?
Yeah.
Just catch our breath after, depending on your point of view, 19 years and 11 months, or at least 9.5 years, 10 years, 12 years.
Yeah.
But you must be exhausted and happy today.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I mean, we're tired. I mean, but it's been a great day. It's a great day to see our old friends. It was great to see the anchor cities excited about it. Yeah. I mean, that was very different from last time. The Mississippi cities, the level of excitement is the same.
Yep.
The level of excitement in the anchor cities was much different.
It really was. I noticed that too.
Yeah.
From 9.5 years ago, Mississippi was out there with all the celebrations, but like, you're right. The anchor cities, it was a little flat.
Right.
And now,
Not today.
Not today.
Not today.
Today they showed up.
Yeah, this whole effort, and everybody around this table ultimately had to play a key part. But we've been planting a garden, and we've had to remove the rocks, and we've had to improve the soil for 10 years. And today we begin to see it flower.
Yeah.
I mean, you're seeing people out there that are so excited, they're happy, they're smiling, they're children, they're seniors, they're every color across the Gulf. Rich, poor, didn't matter. They were out there. This train gives them a little bit of hope for the future, because this area was devastated.
Yes, it was.
And parts of it have not come back yet. And this gives them a little glimpse of what they could draw people in, those dollars in the economy.
I was telling some people earlier that I came on the association in September 2014. My very first work trip was October 2014, and it was here.
That's
and
right.
I was working on this project.
That's right. I remember it.
Yep.
Well, and Amit was on the first ride-along inspection train.
Yes,
which
he was.
Of course,
Yeah.
was designed to show the enthusiasm.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, we're inspecting the track, but it was really about showing the enthusiasm. Amit was on board for that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Working for FRA as legal counsel.
Yeah.
And then he became the administrator. And so much of the funding for this route ultimately had to pass through and be awarded by FRA. And they could have chosen other projects. But I think we made the case for it.
Well, and I think that ride made the case for it, right?
Yeah. The enthusiasm, the people at all the stations along the route, as we were talking about Knox, and also the work of the Southern Rail Commission, the day-to-day work to bring all the different parts together. I mean, it definitely takes a huge effort, a long period of time. And with that funding showing up, it was just another piece, an important piece of making it all come together. So it was just really, really good timing.
But it wasn't just the funding to me. FRA stepped up to say what's happening with the modeling and working with all the parties isn't working.
That's right.
And we're going to see that people deal with each other in good faith, tell the truth, and pushed it. And issued a strong legal opinion from FRA, which they had not done in the past.
Yeah.
No, that was an extraordinary brief.
That was, and that's also where Senator Wicker's support and advocacy came through, and also really the Surface Transportation Board playing a role with Amtrak and the host railroads. Also, it all had to happen together.
It did.
And federal agencies really had to step up and exercise the authority they had for decades, but not exercise. And you saw it with FRA, you saw it with SDB, who played a very, very strong hand.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Not taking a side. I remember when Marty Oberman, during a hearing, said, this isn't about Amtrak or the freights or the port. They're not the aggrieved party. The aggrieved party are the people on the Gulf that have been waiting all these years for a return of service. They're the aggrieved party.
That's exactly right. And we saw that today. Everybody I talked to when we got off the train, every one of them said something to me along the lines of, thank you for doing this. Thank you for making this happen. And then they would tell me what trip they were going to take.
Right.
You know, I'm going to go see my granddaughter, or we're going to go see a Saints game, or we're going to go see... Every one of them had some plan in mind for something they were going to do that they could not do before.
Yeah, and they're not at the forefront of their mind isn't what CSX is doing or Norfolk Southern Republic Belt is doing or what's going on at the state level.
Nope.
They just want to be on the train.
Yeah, they just want to take the train.
Well, and to Amtrak's credit, when there is no available equipment in the country, they found, cobbled together the equipment to make this train run not only today, but every day of the week.
Yeah.
And it's nice, clean, good equipment. It's nothing secondhand.
No, it's not.
It's something to be proud of, and I give them credit for finding it. They could have said, look, we're just short of equipment, didn't do it.
No, we've got a good consist here. And you know, and I'm just really proud of, you know, being able to work with you guys to be part of this and, you know, play the part that we were able to play, as small as it was. It was great to get a front row seat and seeing how this all came together.
And it's also, again, with the rail programs that are in place, I can't think of another project that's taken advantage, or another corridor that's taken advantage of the corridor identification program, restoration enhancement, interstate compact, and then the consolidated rail infrastructure safety improvements program. I mean, there's no better example of how to make those programs work together in a productive way.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you know, certainly you know, Jim, there was no federal structure to make a train like this.
No.
So all of those policies and programs you just commented about had to be built out of whole cloth, working with Senator Wicker, Commerce staff,
Yep.
T&I staff.
Yep.
It's the way federal language should work. Yes, it answered the needs of this train, but it answered the needs of anyone else in the country who wants to expand service. It serves the nation, the policy does. Like you said, we took advantage of it.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, you know, I would try to explain to people why we were doing the work we were doing, why we were drafting the language. I don't understand. I just want my train. Well, yeah, but this is how you do that. You build the foundation of programs that will make it possible to continue these kinds of things.
And when you have multiple states involved, you need to ideally have interstate compacts in place. You need to have a commission where there's representation, equal representation from all the partners and all the states, and you've got that. You've got that. And it can, and this is a good model for other parts of the country. And I think that, you know, believe it or not, this region can be that example.
Yeah, it can be. But I'll tell you what, I don't know if I've got the energy to go through what we went through.
Right.
I mean, I can think of a couple of calls you and I had where it looked bleak. It looked bad.
There were numerous times that the funding wasn't there, or the program wasn't there, or the freights didn't want to do it, whatever. And there were many times that we just had to take a deep breath and say, okay, somebody will come along. And they did.
Yes, they did.
And, you know, John Robert would call and yell at us. You got to do this, you got to do that. And Amit would stop me in the hall.
Persuaded.
You got to do this, you got to do that. Yeah. And so it would be so many times that we would just be at a point where I don't know if it's going to happen or not. And then that person would step up and do whatever it was, whether it was a legislator who kind of sort of figured out that this was a good thing and I'm going to push it, or if it was, you know, Senator Wicker making the call that needed to be made at the time, you know, Senator Hyde-Smith doing what she had to do to help us in the Appropriations Committee. I mean, you know, John Robert, we would go see our congressman at the time, and and he would have said, "I'm going to vote for this," and then he would vote the wrong way, and John Robert would call and say, "Well, I didn't mean to do that. I'll go change it." You know, it was just, but it was just over and over again, and most of the time it was you just said, "All right, we're just going to keep going."
You remember that time you came down for the meeting with, it was in Alabama, and we were coming down to work on the folks with Governor Ives.
In Mobile. Oh Lord,
that was a day.
It was a terrible meeting, and we worked hard, and we spent money and time and effort to really no avail. I mean, we just couldn't break through, and we kept trying to figure out what that was. And I will tell you, to Toby Bennington's credit, my counterpart in Alabama, he continued to just chisel away at the wall.
Yeah.
He would try to create where there were none, and he was able to do that. And he would chisel away, and then, you know, we had Bradley Byrne working for Amtrak stepped in and said, "We've got to have some representation." It was very helpful. But it was just not giving up on it. And you finally found some people that said, "Okay, we're tired of talking to you. We're tired of listening to you. Fine, we'll do it."
That's right.
Well, and what we did for each other was when and it was just we're talking 4 or 5 people. When one of us said, "Done, you know, we've done everything we can do. We cannot change these people's minds." But others in that small clique would say, "No, dust them off." Say, "No, you're back in the fight."
Right.
We
That's right.
Throwing
That's
each other back in the fight.
That's right.
Back in
That's
the
right.
fight.
I remember a call like that from you and Todd. You were both, I don't know whose phone it was, but the two of you were on speaker.
Yeah.
You called me.
Yeah.
It was right after the first Mobile vote.
Right.
The city council vote. And that was what it was like. See, you cannot give up.
Right. That's right. And, you know, it's the whole Mobile thing. And I made the joke about I didn't know if I was going to get, you know, praised or thrown in jail. I didn't know. And so I would go to these meetings, and it really got to the point because, you know, we had spent a lot of money on this. I was spending my own money to come down there and attend these things. And it was just they would just be interesting. But then I think the part of that is then you have to educate yourself on how it works. In this particular case, the city of Mobile is governed unlike most any other city in the country. Is that you have to have a supermajority vote of the city council to do basically any business.
Yep.
And so once you begin to understand all that, then you could change your strategy, change how you were doing this to help figure that out. And I mean, that goes for everything. When you understand how railroads actually work, and it's really opposite of what you think they do, then you say, okay, how can I try to structure this to make it easier for them to do this, or make it more advantageous for them to do this? You start thinking that way. And you also think about the fact that the reason that we have an Amtrak and a structure like this is because the railroads agreed to run passenger rail on the basically land they were given by the taxpayers.
That's right.
And people, we've moved so far away from that, everybody's forgotten that deal.
Yep, they've forgotten the terms
They've
of the
forgotten
grand
the
bargain.
terms of the deal, the grand bargain. And so then you have to educate yourself on that.
Yep.
You know, and I mean, that's one thing your organization does a good job of educating people on those things that people today that weren't around in the 1950s or 60s when all of this was really coming together, they don't really understand it. And I can tell you, over the 15, 16 years I've been doing this, that's been the biggest part of it, is learning how railroads work, how passenger rail works, how Amtrak works, how Amtrak's supposed to work, all those sorts of things. And when you're outside, you just assume, oh, we need a passenger train. Well, Amtrak will run a passenger train. Well, that's not anywhere near how it works.
No.
And you can say it should work that way,
But it doesn't.
But it doesn't. So you can either stand on a soapbox and say, like a lot of people do, and just decry the fact that it doesn't work that way, or you can say, okay, do we really want to run a train?
You can roll up your sleeves and help.
That's right. That's right. That's the difference.
That's what we were able to do.
Right.
And also, it's the governors
Right.
who are absolutely involved in this. It's the state departments of transportation. that may not have done rail projects or rail corridors in the past that now have to get in the game and understand what's going on and get educated on what's happening and be a part of this.
Yeah.
And that's a big change for
It is.
State departments of transportation.
It is.
A positive change, but
It
it's
is.
a change.
It's one of the reasons we're pushing so hard to get more money for state DOTs. We don't want to call it formula funding, but really that's kind of where we want to go, right? Is to get those resources out so that those state DOTs can actually staff up and play this game. Because if they don't, they're really at a disadvantage.
Well, that's a conversation I was having today with the FRA folks. What they're talking, and Amtrak, and what they're talking about is states like Virginia, North Carolina, and they were telling me that Tennessee is working toward this.
Yes, they are.
They have dedicated staff for passenger rail and also freight rail, so that they can work with, and talking to the hosts that were on here today, is that they have people that speak their language, understand what they're trying to do, and it makes a lot more sense. And so then when you have, and John Robert and I have seen this, when you have a state Department of Transportation that still looks at themselves as a highway department, that's what they want to do. They want to add another lane.
They're doing what they know.
They're doing
That's
what
right.
they know. There's no, I mean, and it's not really a criticism of that.
They're just doing
It's
what
just
they
they're
know.
doing what they know. And then they see this, they're like, we don't know that, and we don't know. And as we have educated them on it, they're like, well, okay, maybe we need to do that. And that's really where the multi-state commissions and things come together, where they can take some of that off of the DOT until they can develop the expertise. But you've got a capital intensive business in a freight railroad or a passenger railroad, very capital intensive business.
And long horizons.
And long horizons. And so if you can find a way to make it to their advantage to work with people like us that can find the money to maybe move capital around for them. So you take this railroad right here. If we can find ways to bring federal investment into this railroad, then that may be able to allow them to free up capital to work on other lines that aren't as passenger friendly, or not where you're going to have passenger rail, and they can work those lines.
You just make a deal that works for everyone.
That's right. That's right.
You know,
That's right.
but to John Roberts' point, the only way you do that is you got to start in good faith. You got to sit down and say,
I know.
we're all
You
going to
do.
try and make a deal that works.
You got to tell the truth.
That's
And
right.
that's why it was so important that FRA said everybody's got to tell the truth.
Yeah.
And then when the hearings, many hearings before STV, they kept pushing to the truth,
Yep.
pushing to the truth. And I think all parties decided, STV isn't letting this go. They're going to
Yeah.
get
They-
resolution.
they are.
May not-
One way-
we may not like it, but they're going to get resolution.
And,
Right.
and Marty kept saying, it's really good if you guys want to settle.
Yeah.
And that was an important thing. Push the parties to sit down and make a business deal, because ultimately that's really what we had to do.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, well, we're going to come into New Orleans. It's been a great day. It's been a great day. I'm tired, but you know what?
And we were blessed today. We didn't have a drop of rain
That's right.
all the way over.
We had lots of drops of hot sunshine.
Yes, we did.
On the way back, we
Yeah.
had some rain.
That's
here we
right.
are.
But here we
coming
are.
into
That's
New
right.
Yeah.
Orleans.
It's sunny.
The
Yeah.
skies
Sunny.
break open and the sun's
right.
out.
That's right.
That's right.
Nice.
That's right.
Nice ending.
Well, listen, I just really want to congratulate everybody here sitting at one table. This is how this got done.
Oh yeah.
And
Amit talked about governors are important,
Yeah.
and members of Congress are important, and all of that's very true. But they got there because they will push from the local level.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely. It wouldn't have happened without that local
That's right.
support. No question about it.
yep.
That's absolutely true.
And that's why, when my members, they get frustrated, well, what can I do? Well, believe me, the fact that you stand up and you say, I live here, I vote here, I care about this, you do that in massive numbers, you get a train. We saw
That's
that
right.
today.
And,
That's right.
what the people along the Gulf, whether they articulated it or not, what they're saying is, we want a choice. Don't tell us the automobile is our only choice. We want
Right.
a choice. We don't want to be beaten to death on I-10 anymore.
Yeah.
We don't want to fight the traffic on US 90. I want to be able to get people to get to my hometown
Right.
to spend their money in an easy, comfortable way.
Yeah.
And they look around the country and they say, other states have this, other people enjoy it. Why not us?
Well, listen, I appreciate everybody being here today. This
Look,
is great.
we appreciate
Thank you, Jim.
the tremendous support you personally, but your organization is always good.
That's right.
In working in the drudgery of creating the policy.
Yeah.
And Sean has been super to work with.
Yeah. No, we've enjoyed it. We've enjoyed it. As hard as it is, we've enjoyed every minute because we knew it was going to come to this, and here we are on the train. We get to see it.
Yep.
You know, so thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Jim.
all of you. This is a great
Great
day.
Great day. Yeah, great day. Monday will be even better.
That's right.
I said earlier in the day, when someone says, "Aren't we lucky to have this train?" Luck had nothing.
Nothing at all. It was hard work. Well, thanks.
All right.